Hello everybody, Xyno here, and I was originally going to talk about Sonic Colors Ultimate's Switch version specifically in this video, but thanks to a tweet that someone called me Johnny retweeted, which I will link in the description below so you guys can get some information on it while I talk about it, there's a lot more wrong going on with Sonic Colors Ultimate's ports than I originally intended, and we're going to talk about the other ports later in the video, not probably as in-depth and in detail as what I'm going to talk about the Switch version, but the studio behind porting these games is under a lot of fire, and you might have seen it if you're social media centric. But anyway, let's start with Sonic Colors Ultimate on the Switch. I watched some early access footage from Game Explain, I believe. I might put that video in the description too, just so I can credit them that I watched it. You know, go ahead and watch the comparisons. They compared the Wii version, the PS4 version, and the Switch version, and it was very disappointing for me to see the Switch version not run at 60 FPS, because a lot of games can with that kind of fidelity. I don't know how, it's hard to explain, but I have recorded Mario Kart 8 footage. Mario Kart 8 came out on the Wii U. It ran at 59.9 FPS, which is a stupid FPS, but it ran at that, pretty much 60, and at 720p. But when they ported it to the Switch, it ran at 1080p, 60 frames per second, flawlessly. Unless you played split screen, that's a whole different thing. But that game is freaking beautiful. They already tapped out the Switch's potential with that game, with 1080p, 60 FPS racing game. Its work is it's hard to beat. And you look at games like Sonic Colors Ultimate or Sonic Forces. I think I was going to make a video when that game came out years ago about its bad performance on the Switch, because we have games like Sonic Generations. Sonic Generations came out on the 360, and it ran, I think, at 720p 30 FPS. So, logically, having better hardware and easier hardware to code for, it would be easier to port these games to run at higher resolutions and frame rates. I mean, Sonic Forces ran at 60 FPS on the base consoles, but not the Switch version. But the Switch version ran at 30 FPS, 720p, which is like the 360, and the Switch is way more powerful than the 360, so I really never got why it ran like that. So honestly, I was expecting a lesser fidelity game like Sonic Colors, which is a Wii game, which I know they did some touch-ups, they did some post-processing things, they touched the textures up and stuff because modern hardware couldn't handle that, and I was really expecting this to be a very easy conversion for the studio to do. By the way, in the tweet, the studio, what was the studio's name called again? I always forget. I have to open up Twitter very, very quickly here. Blind Squirrel Entertainment was in charge of the port, and they've been known for better ports on the more modern consoles. They've never really worked on a Switch port before, so it's been very, heavily under scrutiny on the bad performance and glitches, but the glitches are pretty prevalent throughout all the ports, and it puts me into another whole situation where I wish they gave the studio time. This is, as much as it's the studio's fault for having these glitches, it's also SEGA's fault for making them cram so much development time into a release window that's very unrealistic. And I was going to talk about, before I figured out the tweet, that they should have delayed at least a Switch version, because that was all I was going to originally talk about. They should have delayed it like they did with Doom Eternal for whatever, I can't remember what company ported that game, but when Doom Eternal came out, they delayed the Switch version specifically because they needed more time to optimize it. And I really wish that they did that with Sonic Colors Ultimate. You know, delay it by a month, 2 months, whatever they needed to make sure it released in a stable condition on time. And it would have impacted sales, but it would have improved the press release on what the game's initial impressions were like. And they decided, no, it's good enough. It's going to glitch out and all that crap, you know. Release it anyway. We'll patch it out later. And that's a horrible, horrible way to put it, because your initial impressions of a game can really impact you on how the game plays even years after it comes out. Like Cyberpunk. I bought Cyberpunk day one and experienced tons of glitches, and a lot of them were funny, but a lot of them did get in the way and crashes and all that stuff. And even though it's patched and it runs better today than it has since it came out, it still makes me not want to finish the game just because it's like, oh, there's going to be something that's going to crash later down the line. That's a whole different video that I'm never going to make, but it still stands with the same logic as Sonic Colors Ultimate, and it makes me sad to see that the company was rushed this hard to release it, because actually I don't know what I was saying with that, but the fact that the game was such a simple game for the Wii, I'm surprised that the performance and the porting, like, simplicity wasn't easy, you know? Like, I'm surprised it wasn't easy to move it over to a newer console and have it perform like butter, because I unapologetically say I emulate games. I mostly emulate games I own, obviously. I own Sonic Colors for the Wii, and I've run it on Dolphin at 60 FPS in 4K flawlessly. There was a hitch here or there because of loading glitches and how the emulator works, but that worked better than these ports do on consoles today, and that's kind of sad. Not narking on the port team or the developers per se, but it's just sad to see them not take ways, like, they don't have ways to have it work. So I don't know how programming works, but apparently it's a pain in the ass to code for these new consoles working on these assets on an old engine. I don't know why. It's really, really bizarre, and I'm just mad at SEGA and the development team for putting them in the situation they're in. They're gonna get all this hate. Sonic fans are gonna argue left and right, defending it and bashing on it, and honestly, every single bashing thing is deserved because they were an idiot and they didn't find and playtest the game hard enough to see that, oh, there's gonna be problems in this port. Sad to see that it's not fixed somehow immediately, but they should have just waited to delay the game. And now Sonic Colors Ultimate, with how much it was hyped up to be, because it's a 10-year anniversary game. It's actually 11-year anniversary because it's 2021, but it came out 11 years ago. People were hyped to play it again on the modern consoles, and now we have this horrible impression. And it's going to stick to the franchise for a good long while, and honestly, it makes me not very happy and not too excited to see how the new game's going to come out, because they're being very messy with how they're handling this franchise. That's what I want to get down to the brass tacks of things. It's hard to be a modern Sonic fan these days with all the game scrutiny it has. You know, everything else about it's pretty fine. The merchandise is fine. The comics are fine, from what I know. I never look at the comics, but they seem to be pretty popular and pretty well integrated into the franchise. It's just the thing that the series was built upon is the biggest problem it has, and I'm surprised that they're letting it go this far out of hand. You know, games that were under, what's the word, hibernation, that came out swinging with a new developing company like Crash Bandicoot came out swinging harder than Sonic has within the past few years. And it still bothers me that they don't release multiple games like they did back in the day anyway, because now they're like focusing on one specific game, and every 4 years we're going to release a game. Because, again, when you think about it, the last Sonic game that came out was Sonic Team Sonic Racing, and that was in 2019. And then 2 years before that, late 2017, Sonic Forces. Those were the latest games if you don't count the Olympic games. That's sad. You go back in 2004 and 2005, they had like 8 games come out. They had like Sonic Heroes in late 2004, Shadow the Hedgehog. They were putting trailers for Sonic 06. They had Sonic Rush. They had Sonic Riders trailers probably coming out. You know, within those few years, that few year span, they had so many games in development coming out. And yeah, you can criticize that maybe splitting the team up so badly made those games not be so praised, even though I had fun with all of them. It's fun to see more stuff come out instead of one thing that's going to hype it up to all beyond hell and then just be a big disappointment. That's what I feel like is a big problem with them. They really just need to restructure the freaking Sonic Team company or whatever they want to call it, because whatever's working isn't working, and it hasn't worked for like 7 years, and they keep trying to do the exact same thing every few years, and it's not working. Yeah, that delved into a rant. That's kind of sad, but it's just what I've been feeling lately, especially with this new information that I had here, and I just wanted to explain it out because it's frustrating, it's infuriating to see. I was even hyped up for Sonic Colors Ultimate. I didn't pre-order it, thank God, but now I gotta wait and see if they ever fix it, but I'm probably not going to be getting it anytime soon, especially with the state it's in. They should have waited. They should have waited. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. You got to do the YouTube thingamabobbers, thingamaboom, bing, bam, boom, bam, boom. But I'll catch you guys in a future video that's probably not Sonic related because I got a couple things on my mind. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Xyno won't fall out of the door again because that happens.